I wanted to share with you something interesting I learned. There's a true Native American chieftain of the Sioux Indian tribe, whose name most of you probably have heard, called Sitting Bull. Sitting Bull. And apparently his name, before it was changed to Sitting Bull, was Jumping Badger. But apparently he showed such great courage in a battle with another Indian tribe, albeit later on in his life, he had a lot to do with unifying the Indian tribes of the time in a peaceful manner. But when he was in battle, he was known to be a very, very cunning fighter in close combat. And therefore, when he was done with a particular battle for which he achieved a tremendous amount of courage, he received a new name given to him by his father called Sitting Bull, because a bull has horns and is very strong. But because he was sitting, he was able to stay in one place and stationary and still be very effective, a very effective fighter. In the Jewish religion, the names that people get also have tremendous meaning. And it goes back all the way to the beginning of when Noah, it says that Noah, Ki Hashem Nachem al haaretz, God had pity, right? He was, and from that word Nachem came the word Noach. Avraham, he was the father of the Jewish people. Jacob, Yaakov, Akev, he held on to the heel, the Akev of Esav when he came out of his mother's womb. Even we hear Moshe, the name Moshe that we hear now, Ki Hashem Mishitihu, because he was saved from the waters. He was pulled out of the waters, and Moses was saved in the waters. So everyone has these names or sentences that they're ascribed to them forever that actually signify meaning. They bestow hope and also give a person a certain mission in their life. And I think it's important that now that we're about to read the giving of the Ten Commandments and the handing of the Bible to the Jewish people to live and to follow and to become a chosen nation, everyone had their own set of individual names that they had to emulate something special and bring forth some sort of characteristics that would not only make them a very good Jew and make them a successful Jew, but also to help the community around them and to provide that skill set to the community and the people in their family that ultimately, and everybody also had weaknesses, so that they needed to seek out someone who had strengths to help counterbalance those weaknesses. And that's kind of how the whole framework of the Jewish community worldwide kind of overlaps with each other. And here, interestingly enough, before in this Parsha Yitro, before we get to the actual giving over of the Ten Commandments, for some reason the Torah feels it necessary to tell us about Moses' two sons, who we don't hear much about at all. A couple of weeks ago, we were told that they were born and that they were given a name. One was Gershom, the other one was Eliezer. But here, for some reason, the Torah is telling us again what their name was, and the Torah tells us what the reason they got that name. It says, Shem ha'echad Gershom, one was named Gershom, Ki amar ger hayit be'eretz nochriya. Why? Because Moses, at the time that he named Gershom, he was a ger, he was a foreigner in a foreign land, because he had just come to Midian. He came to the house of Jethro. He met his daughter, his wife, Tzipporah, who also has a name for a particular reason. And that's why he was named that. And then V'Shem Ha'echad, Eliezer, and the other boy's name was Eliezer. Why? Ki Elohei avi be'ezri v'yatzileni micherev paro. Why? Because God came and saved me from the hands of Pharaoh. Okay? Now if you look at this pasuk, this passage very closely, you'll see some very subtle, unique things. The first thing that Chazal, our rabbis, hone in on is it says, instead of Shem HaRishon Gershom V'Shem HaSheni Eliezer, instead of it saying the firstborn was named this one and the second one to be born was named that one, it says Shem HaEchad Gershom V'Shem HaEchad Eliezer. One was named this and one was named this. The Torah was very careful to say, we're not going to single anyone out as being oldest or better. One was named this, one was named that, which means that all of us it's an equal opportunity religion. That no matter when you were born or what you were named or what your mission in life is or what your skill set is like, this is an equal opportunity Bible that you're about to be handed. Everybody has a piece of this action and everyone can grow with it. And the Chafetz Chaim also points out some really beautiful additional things. The first question he asked is, why did he mention Gershom? I was a foreigner. Why was that something that was more important than I was saved by God? Some argue that Moses was saved by God when he was pulled out of the Nile River, right, which was even before he became a foreigner in anyone's land. So why would he not do it chronologically? And he answers this up in a very beautiful kind of way, and I'll share this with you with the remainder of the time. It says here, L'cha'ora haya al Moshe Rabbeinu likro et shem beno harishon Eliezer. He was supposed to call his first son Eliezer. God helped me. Reshit, why? Because mishum shehahatzala mecherev paro kadma liyoto ger ba'aretz nechuriah, because he was saved from Pharaoh before he was a foreigner in anybody's land. Vishenit, and the second one is mishum shahaya ba mishum pirsum hanes. He also wanted to bring about the massive nes that happened, the miracle that happened here. But wait a minute. What miracle are we talking about? The big miracles we just saw when we were taken out and taken away from Pharaoh, Eliezer. That seems to suggest that Eliezer, again, should have been first. But what he's pointing out is here, no, Gershom, he was a foreigner in a land, was actually a miracle that preceded what Pharaoh did. Why? Because for 210 years we lived in Egypt, and we were somehow able to remain a community, and we were somehow able to remain strong, and we were somehow able to go ahead and live up to our names. And because of that, that actually preceded this whole notion. He goes on to say a new idea, which I love very much. He says, Yesh lanu ladad shekasher ha'aretz nechriya. You should know that when you're in a foreign land, kasher chinuch habanim shebeitiyim. It's very difficult to raise our children in the appropriate manner when you're in a foreign place where there's different behaviors and there's a lot of surroundings that are not particularly Jewish or religious or stuff that emulate, the Bible. Kishaharechov hayehudi hayam shumar v'sapug Torah v'yira. When they're in a tight community where everyone around them is delved into the Torah and the Jewish way of life. It was easy for a parent to raise a child in a Jewish kind of way and to make them Jewish. Aval kayom, but today lo ha'av o ha'em mechanchim et hayeled ela harechov. But today it seems that parents are not teaching their children and raising their children as much the street is, or even the internet highway is. That's how everybody is actually growing and learning. And the last piece I wanted to share with you is also a beautiful idea that he brings down. I'm not going to read it, but that we have to view as Jews that our objective is to get to the next world. And this world, we are gerim in this world. We are foreigners in this world. But the idea is we have to somehow pull together and survive and carry on throughout the generations, the Torah. And that will help buy us into our real resting place in the next world. I thought that was a beautiful idea to share with everybody as to why it was important to hear about Gershom and Eliezer's names now before we receive the Torah. I wish everyone a good Shabbos and speak to you next week.
שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך